Avoid and overcome these 5 fears because your future depends on it. Alison Edgar MBE, author of Smash It, TEDx speaker. She's a sales professional. On this podcast, is going to show you that if you don't do these 4 things to master yourself, you can never do the 2 things to master your relationships. Now, make sure that you're following us, keep up to date with each new episode, and download this podcast so that you can stop and start wherever you are. Let's do this. Alison Edgar MBE. What does it mean to you to have an MBE, Alison?
It means the world because it's so unexpected. So coming from a really working class background, my mum was a cleaner, my dad worked in the shipyards. I was brought up in a high-rise council flat that...
Where?
Clydebank, just outside Glasgow.
And you are a Rangers fan?
Well, the family are Rangers fans. I'm kind of more of a sitting on the fence, but a bit of a sad story of why we're affiliated. There was an Ibrox disaster in the 1960s and the stand collapsed and my uncle, my mum's brother, died in the Ibrox disaster. So Ibrox have been very good. Rangers have been very good to our family, and every time there's an anniversary, we all get invited to Ibrox to celebrate the lives of the people that lost their lives.
And so it should be a celebration, you know, of... it's in memory of. So MBE anyway, you must be doing something pretty special to be recognised as an MBE.
And do you know what I'm really proud of? Should you say that you're proud of something? But I am, and I think that's where so many people hide their light under a bushel. And to me, I've got to say that I'm proud because I'm seen as an inspiration to a lot of people, and it's because it's for entrepreneurship and business. And James, you know that a lot of the owners are a lot of men, and when we went to get the MBE, I went with my husband, and how they know at the palace is you wear a little sort of badge thing, which is what they clip on the owner to. And they kept saying to my husband, what did you get your MBE for? And he's like, well, it wasn't me, it was my wife. So the fact I'm a female to get it for entrepreneurship and business, it is a bit of an anomaly, but I will take that any day of the week.
So what's your definition of an entrepreneur then?
So to me, and it's interesting because I don't class myself as an entrepreneur because I feel it's somebody that starts a business and takes risks, and I'm a bit of a low risk gambler. Yeah. It's like I like a wee bit of the horse racing, but I'll put on 50 pence each way. So the same with I'd never lose my house to set up a business, whereas a lot of people are coming in there, they're giving it their all, they're gambling their all, and to me that's where it's a risky business to start and be entrepreneurial. I got mine, I think, for helping support people that take those big risks, as opposed to me taking the big risks myself. Yeah,
I mean, look, there is no doubt about it. Risks are involved in entrepreneurship, you know. It's not taking risks, it's calculating risks.
Yeah.
I think that's the real skill.
100%. But if you look... when I started my business, I was 46. I never ever thought I was going to start a business in the first place. And I think sometimes you're thrust into entrepreneurship through just circumstances and timing. And at the time I was working, I'd been working for a company for 15 years. And it was the best known directory advertising, without name dropping who it was, but Robbie Williams mentions it in one of his songs. And life pre-internet, it was the only place that you went to get the number of all the trades guys. Yeah. And I never ever thought I would leave. I had a great job. I was really performing well. I had a company car, you name it. And obviously there was an evolution at that time in business because of the internet. And I was in a room in Bristol with a lot of my sales colleagues at the time, and the CEO was announcing the direction. Where are we going? What's happening? And he said, it's business as usual. We've just acquired more paper directories in France, in America, because we don't think that Google thing will ever catch on. And to hear that lack of direction from an organisation that I trusted with my future and my future career left me at a crossroads. And that's where I thought, what am I going to do? And that's when I decided to set up my business. So to me, I was kind of thrust into that. And I think that's where a lot of people move into starting their own business through circumstances.
There's 2 things in what you said there, actually, though, because you attributed what he'd said, the CEO, as lack of direction. So for you, it was actually lack of direction. For him, maybe he had assessed the risk. I don't know what was going on in
Yeah,
Google, but,
yeah.
and he's come up with, we're going out in France and we're going out elsewhere, we're going global with this. You know, for him, that might be direction, but you didn't hear that as direction. Now, but the big thing that stood out in what you said was you didn't believe in the direction they'd said.
100%.
And you didn't believe it in enough to say, I'm off. And that takes courage to say, I'm going.
Yeah, courage or madness, who knows? It could be one or the other, James. But I think what I did was I started to find my passion and my purpose in life. And I think it was digging deeper. And at that time, I'd come from a corporate sales background and I'd spent over 20 years as a top performer in sales. And I talk a lot. I've got a friend called Lorraine, right? And Lorraine is my best friend from school.
Is she a breakfast TV presenter?
No, she's not quite, despite the accent. No, not quite that, Lorraine. Not quite that, Lorraine. But anytime I come to a crossroads, I'll say to Lorraine, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And she said, that's really easy. You're going to set up your own business to teach people the way that you sell from your heart and your passion. I went, okay, Lorraine. And again, that sort of gave me faith and hope, because if somebody else has got faith and hope in you, it's easier to find it in yourself, isn't it? So I then set up it was a sales training company where it all started. And that was the sort of direction in there, and touch wood. And you'll remember this, again, from the stuff that you've done with Action Coach. There was a lot of funding at that time, growth vouchers, growth accelerator. And it was a great, again, low risk to start a business because the government were propping up your sales by helping other people. And I worked really closely with Action Coach in the Southwest. And what we did was I put together, I thought, how can we get to market? And I ran these road shows free. I wasn't getting paid to do it. And I worked really closely with the guys in the Southwest to teach them what they could do with their voucher, what categories and why taking business support is going to be of benefit for them. And that went really well. And I think that did contribute to the MBE. You never know how you get it or what you get it, but it wasn't about business as usual services and me running a business. It was what I do for other businesses to help them to succeed.
Well done. You know, I like what you said in the mix of all of that. Sales is, Lorraine said to you, you're going to do this, heart and passion. Where does passion come from?
I like to succeed. I like to win. So I think my passion comes from finding things I'm good at. So I know what I'm good at. I know I'm really good at sales. I know that I get a good grasp of business. I know I didn't think I'd be good at writing, but I'm sure we're going to come to that. And I think it's just belief that I can do it. And I think what now really fuels that is like just the messages I get after I've spoken at events, or people that have read the book, or people that I've worked with in a coaching or a training person, and they come back. And I'll give you an example. I was at an event in Bristol. Again, I'm based in the Southwest despite the accent. And they were doing a bit of a fireside chat, a little bit of conversation around, what I was up to and how I got here and things like that. And they then took the Q&A at the end, and this man stood up, and he works for a charity, a really well-known charity. And he said, I've not got a question, I've got a statement. And the guy's like, okay, what's your statement? He said, about 8 years ago, I used to run these open courses. He said, and because it's a charity, I used to give charities spaces for free on these courses to learn to sell so that it would help the charity. So that was my way of giving back, giving passion back to those charities. He said, you changed her life. He said, not only did you completely change her life, but you changed the outlook and the fortunes of the charity, because she then knew how to sell, knew how to get money through. And it was to do with the aged, it was help the aged. And it wasn't just her or the charity, it was all those back end people that charity helped. James, I just started to cry. Like, that's where you just, like, I talk about doing my best every day, right? I talk about bringing my A game. Every day I bring my A game. And some days my A game is getting out my pajamas, and other days it's climbing mountains or speaking at events. And that's all I can bring. And I think with the knowledge that I'm bringing my A game, that's where the passion comes from. I'm just doing my best.
That A game mentality, you wake up every day and bring my A game. I mean, let's just think of the listeners for a second. What bits of advice would you give them to to think the same way. Bring your A game every day.
I think how you start your day is really important. And I know there's like loads of books, you know, the 5 a.m. start or the, you know, all
5
these
a.m.
kind
club.
of,
Who's
is that,
that?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Whatever, like, and like the habits and things like that. To me, I just think what I do is I got my smart speaker and it goes off and it says, "Good morning, today's going to be a great day." And then...
Just a second.
Yeah.
So this is a good blinding flash of the obvious for the listeners here. Forget your alarm clocks, forget your iPhones, forget your Samsung, whatever it is. Get yourself a smart speaker.
And you can tell it what to say when it wakens up in the morning. You can program it to say whatever you want it to say.
Right. I'm asleep now. I'm Alison Edgar. All right. So all of a sudden the alarm clock's going to go off. Go on. Hit me. What does it say?
Good morning. Today's going to be a great day. Pause. And then it moves straight into... Take that. Today this could be the greatest day of our lives. And if you wake up and you think that, you think, you know what, today could be the greatest, and it could be, who knows? But if you wake up like that, you're in the mindset that actually this is great. And maybe this is an age thing. Like I'm 56, but I've lost a couple of people that I went to school with, like good friends. So anytime that I'm in a situation that I'm doing something that I just think, oh, so like I do boot camp, I go to the gym, I run, you know, I've gone through a whole fitness journey. And some days I don't want to do that. And I think, well, you know what? Shirley Ann, my friend from school, she never got the chance to do that because she was taken, you know, when she was too young. So I've got to step up to the mark and take one for the team. So I think if you've got that mentality as well, that helps you push through because you're not doing it for yourself. You're taking one for the team.
Yeah, look, there's a couple of things in there. I think there's an acknowledgement that we've got to all put together. Every day you wake up is a great day.
It is a great day, but we forget.
Take that in the morning.
But so many people forget that. You know, they don't see the joy of they got another day that other people didn't get to have. So I think it's that selflessness and finding that passion because other people didn't get a chance to do it.
Yeah, look, every day you wake up is a great day is one thing, and getting out there and smashing it. Wait. I'm all smashed out here.
Don't smash the mug. Don't get your marketing people to write smash it on a mug.
Yeah, we've got a nice Americano in a smash it mug, and we've got a book here that I want to ask you a number of questions on. And why did you choose the title Smash It?
So, again, another secret. It was only going to be called The Art of Getting What You Want. And we'd gone through the publishers and they're like, no, you need a prefix for it. So then I was speaking to the publisher and thinking, well, I don't know, what do you write at the front of it? You know, there's all these things, unstoppable, amazing, you know, you go through all these things. And they said, well, what is it you constantly say? What phrase do you use? And I'm like, well, I use smash it a lot. And they're like, well, let's have a look. Well, yeah, you can have that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll have that and I'll trademark that. So I'm waiting for the day that a big company wants to use that and I'll be selling that trademark. But I think smash it, the art of getting what you want. So to me, the most important thing about the book is getting what you want. And I think this is where when I'm speaking at events or I'm running a course and people say, well, what does smash it actually mean? Well, it means something completely different to every single person because what your version of smash it is might be different to your neighbour. So I think but ultimately what I think smash it is happiness.
Well, that's what we all want, yeah?
Well, that's what I think. Surely that's, you know, for some people having a Maserati, that's me smashing it, but they might never see their kids or, you know, they might never get a chance to go on holiday because they're working really hard. So I think ultimately, surely...
What's the secret ingredient of happiness?
I believe it's how you manage your time. I believe it's what you do with your time.
It's quite nice. You know, I've asked many people that question, by the way, and it's one of those questions where there's probably not a right and wrong. There's some that are more right than others, but
it's subjective to different people.
But I like how you've answered it. It's what you choose to do with your time.
Yeah, and I think this is
I'm
where...
in control of that, so that means I'm in control of my happiness.
Yeah.
So it's an actionable point that you said. What else
Um,
leads to happiness?
well, I think again it's compartmentalising your life, and I know that sounds quite structured, but all know people that have said, "Oh, I wish I'd done that. Oh, I wish I'd done. Oh, I'd love to have started a business. I'd love to have gone to Australia." You know, they'd love to do all these things, and they don't set the goals. Now, I know that we're really aligned on when it comes to goal setting with the stuff that you do in your business. But I think that, you know, people say to me, "Well, oh, what about goals? How does all that work?" And I think, well, think about football. Think of the Lionesses. I know that I am, you know, Scottish, but I have a big passion for the Lionesses and what they've achieved.
Why?
I just think they work together as a team. I think they trust each other. Again, I think they are the ultimate high performance team. I think that they they work together. And if you take like that to a business perspective, that a lot of times in business, like department silo, people are falling out with each other. I think it's what they've created from a sports perspective is really is what you should be replicating in a business perspective. But I think, you know, coming back to goals, why they're so important, well, it's like football. How do you know you've won at football? Well, you score a goal. How do you know you're winning at life if you've not scored a goal? How if you've not got a goal, how do you know you're winning? So, and those goals don't have to be, oh, I'm going to have a 10-bedroom house with a pool and a Maserati. It could just be on a Tuesday afternoon, I want to go for a walk in the countryside with my dog at 3 o'clock, and I'm going to make that one of my priority goals. It doesn't have to be monetary, but again, that comes back to that happiness perspective.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that's standing out, actually. One thing is what Brad Sugars says. He says define happiness. Not define happiness. He says define success.
Yeah.
What's your definition of success? He asks pretty much everyone he meets. And when you can define that, you know what you where you want to go. I mean, the other thing that was standing out, so I asked you what is happiness. You said what you choose to do with your time, yeah?
Yeah.
Early 1900s, Dale Carnegie said to that question, the secret to success in life is this: developing real, deep, meaningful, lasting, long relationships with the people that matter most in your life.
Yeah.
That's how you get happiness. That's what happiness is.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of rings true. But your point also about take control of your time, James, and there's a chance that you're going to move to happiness.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, when I wrote Smash It, so I'd never actually read a personal development book or a business book before I actually wrote the 2 books that I've written, right? So I had to dig through into my life and how do I live my life and what I do. And obviously there was some research. So one of the things that feeds back, and I think, you know, Stephen Covey did it really well with the rocks in the jar and putting everything in the right order. But that's not his theory. That's the Eisenhower quadrant. So that was originally, it's obviously based on Eisenhower's, how he deployed. All of it is. Yeah.
Someone else.
But where I think he left money on the table, so I translated the Eisenhower quadrant into Alison Edgar's Big Balls. So I've also got the trademark for Big Balls, and it's how, and again, similar to the rocks in the jar, I talk about basketballs, tennis balls and ping pong balls. And that's where the things that make you happy should be your basketball. That should be the things that you do first. But again, coming back to human nature, you do the things you like to do and you leave all the horrible jobs that you don't like to do. And that comes back to, I do behaviour. So I'm a DISC behaviourist. So I talk about task, relationship focused introvert, the DISC model that you would, you would know that like the back of your hand. But if you're task focused, you'll leave all the relationship stuff as a ping pong ball, then it becomes a tennis ball, and then it becomes a basketball, and that's a basketball in the face. It's really sore. And the same if you're spreadsheet based or whatever, you do the things and then you end up in overwhelm because you've got so many basketballs and you don't have time because you've not done things in the right order. But now I'm working with some of the biggest brands in the world, Adobe, LVMH, DHL, Oracle, and it's how you communicate with other people, because in Smash It, I talk about the me thing. So if you want to take up running, you want to stop vaping, you want to do whatever, that's between you and your head and the voices in your head. But if you want a promotion at work, or you want to settle down with someone, or you want to, buy a house or negotiate on a job promotion, that's a we thing. Someone else is involved.
Interesting.
So you could be as productive and as organised as you like, but if someone else is involved, you're getting blocked. So someone treats your basketball as a ping pong ball, that breaks the relationship. So I think that's where the disparity of the balls not just affects you in your workplace if you're getting blocked by someone else, but also in your personal life.
Yeah, look, I think the basketball, personal happiness, and then I like the me thing. We, of course, it's relationships. It's the strength of the relationship, the mutual understanding of each other. We will go through some important aspects of the book. You've got Dame Kelly Holmes here on the front. I mean, she's got a place in my heart as well. I mean, Dame Kelly Holmes.
I love Dame Kelly Holmes, literally. That is my girl crush, and I feel so honoured that she read the book and did the testimonial. I feel so honoured that I count her as a personal friend. And if you'd have gone back to, 30-year-old Alison Edgar and said I was going to be friends with Dame Kelly Holmes, I'd have laughed in your face. And I think, that's... all of that came about when I decided to start my own business and change the direction I was taking it. Had I stayed working for the organisation I worked for, would that have ever happened? Probably not.
Well, let's have a look at the book. So, being the top 8%.
Yeah.
What's the secret to being in the top 8%?
So according to Inc. magazine, they say that only 8% of people achieve their goals. So the first thing is, I think a lot of people don't set goals. You know that firsthand. People aren't setting them, so they can't be in there. I also think the things that hold us back from achieving our goals, there's 5 of the biggest fears. The first one is metathesiophobia.
Metathesiophobia?
Yes.
How dare you say something I don't know about?
It's the fear of change. So that's the first thing, because our brain, and again, you'll know with the work that you do, that your brain's there to protect you and keep you safe. So as soon as it's thrust into change, it's like, oh. The second one is loneliness. So as you change, as you evolve, you might have to shift away from the people that are not serving you well, the relationships that don't serve you well. But people stay in those relationships because they're scared that they're going to be on their own. Uncertainty, we know that one. And the unknown, so there's all these fears that hold you back. And I believe that, again, from the comfort zone, that we know that 55% of people don't actually shift out of their comfort zone, because the next part from the comfort zone before you get to the growth zone and the learning zone is the fear zone. So they go out and they think, I'm going to set up a business. And again, bringing it back to one of my favourite topics, because I love business, I'm going to set that up, I'm going to do that. And they're all brave and bold. And then the first thing that happens, it doesn't go according to plan. And they're like, oh no, I'll just go back in my comfort zone, I'll go back to work again. And that's the same with a lot of things. Like, you've got to go through that pain to get into that learning. And the same,
so that's the uncertainty bit. What are fears 4 and 5? Do you remember them ones?
They're in the book. Here's me, I've forgotten. You put me on the change, loneliness, uncertainty, and another 2 that I cannot remember. My team are going to kick my backside for this, James, because this is the stuff that I talk about, but I've usually got a slide behind me.
This is all good. I mean, look, the fear of change, the fear of loneliness,
uncertainty. Did I say uncertainty?
Yeah, we've got uncertainty. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But look, there's many
failure, fear of failure.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, fear of failure. So again, when things don't go according to plan, people then just go, oh, well, I knew that was going to happen, back into their comfort zone again.
Yeah.
Rejection. There we go. Boom! Fear of rejection.
I mean, as a salesperson, how can you forget that? How dare you?
I'm not using it as a crutch, but I am dyslexic, so things like evaporate from my head. But I got there in the end.
No, we've got 5.
We've got 5. Winner, chicken
fear
dinner.
Of change, fear of loneliness, fear of uncertainty, fear of failure, fear of rejection.
Yes.
When you can identify the fear that exists, it's much easier to do something with it.
100%. And I think that's where, in the me thing, like, I talk about listening to the voices, and we all know, like, the Chimp Paradox is just the best book in the world. To go deep dive on that, the way that Professor Steve Peters talks about that is incredible. So I think that, if anybody's looking for a book on that, that's definitely the one to read. But listening to the voices and then going, right, I hear you, but I'm going to kick you to the curb anyway, and then going for it. And I think anybody that's ever made a change in their life will identify with that.
Look, there's been a few percentages that have been flown around in this conversation. Now, apparently 98% of statistics are made up. Yeah,
well, I've got them. There are. I know that A is Inc. magazine. But where did that further back that came from? And we know the 55 is on my slide that I can't remember what the source.
55%.
55% of people don't come out of their comfort zone.
All right, yeah. Well, look, if that's Inc. magazine, it's Inc. magazine. And the point that I want to make on percentages, that can ebb and flow with time. It can ebb and flow
100%.
Because apparently only 10% of people take action. Now, again, that sounds like...
Where did that stat come from?
God knows. Apparently 98% are made up, so go and find out the number for yourself. Now, the point is, more people don't take action than take action, because there's a big difference between intention and attention.
Yeah.
And become an action taker, and I'm guessing some of these fears are the reasons what stops people taking action.
Yeah, but I also think timing is really important. So after I was in that room and the CEO said that Google thing will never catch on, I'm quite impulsive. So although I'm not a big risk taker, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it and I just want to get it done. And I'm married to someone who's really thinks everything through and it takes ages to make a decision. So I'm like, I'm going to join my job in and start the business. He went, you're mad. And I'm like, okay. I said, but Lorraine said that I should do this. And he said, well, why don't you seesaw? Why don't you cut your hours down at work, still have a salary coming in, and then side hustle, as we now know it as, and run the two. And then as soon as the money from the business starts to then, exceed the money that's coming from your job, then why don't you do that? Because you stand a better chance of success and you won't be panicking that you don't have any money coming in and you've given up a job, and you're more likely to be successful in your business. I went, that's a great idea, Neil. Why don't I do that? So again, I think having somebody there, for me, I'm a big springboard person, which again, I think why it's really important to have a coach, have a business coach to springboard your ideas around before you come to that decision. But so that was I had to springboard it a wee bit.
The first thing that you say in your book is about mastering the me thing, yeah?
Yeah.
And here's the process for mastering the me thing. It's 4 points.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. What do you want? Why do you want it? Then you've got to go big, reach for the stars, all right? And then focus on your behaviors.
Yeah.
What do you want? Why do you want it? Go big, focus on behavior. That's all mastering the me side.
Me, yeah, because that's between you. Like, there'll be things in your life that make you happy that are just you.
So make a decision on what you want.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some of the greats, obviously say this as well. And Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I mean, I've read personal growth books. So I've not read that one. Well, look, he survived 4 Nazi concentration camps, one of them being Auschwitz. And he probably changed humanity more than anyone else. He did a piece of research in Auschwitz where he went around coaching people.
Wow.
And you imagine a concentration camp is the worst human conditions imaginable, people being tortured, horrific conditions. And he couldn't stand it, and he needed to tell people what this was like. It was not right. He's just not right. And everyone around him was dying, but one day he realised that the fact that he was surviving was because he wanted to tell the story.
Wow. So that's your why, isn't it? That's your purpose.
Which was his why. And so he did a piece of research, real research, in a concentration camp. And he went around coaching people. He went around and asking them, what do you want? Why do you want this?
Yeah.
When you're out of here. And he began asking them that every day and reminding that every day. And everyone that he started coaching was surviving and everyone else was dying. And he proved in this research, if there's a big enough reason, you'll do anything.
Yeah, that if your why is strong, you won't go wrong, isn't it? It's that purpose.
Yeah. So you've got, what do you want? Make a decision. Why do you want it? And you're even referring to Maslow's hierarchy in here.
Yeah, I tell you, so I didn't study psychology at school. Like, I've got no qualifications. I left school at 16, but I'm fascinated by it. But what I find is I find pure academia really hard to understand. So when it came, I've got to translate it like Eisenhower, Alison Edgar's Big Balls. Oh, I get that. I can talk about that. So I translated Maslow's into Tom Hanks' The Castaway movie, because if you look, like, he was at the top, like he was literally like best life, and then the plane crashed, and then he was back round at the bottom. Have I got water? Have I got
walk
food?
us through this analogy, because everyone in here loves Tom Cruise.
Tom
Hanks.
Oh, don't confuse my Toms.
Well, no, everyone loves Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks. So anyway, let's go with Tom Hanks. You did say that. I said Cruise because I often refer to Tom Cruise.
Oh, I don't mind a bit of him either, but he wasn't.
I'm sure you don't.
He wasn't in the movie that I'm thinking about.
No, but walk us through why he's a great example for Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
So if you look, like, we're all trying to get to self-actualization. And again, I know there's a newer model, but ultimately that, to me, self-actualization is happiness, right? Because that's, if that would have smashed
the feeling of self-actualization.
Trying to get there, you know. So in the book, I call it the tap of the hill, because that's where I'm from, in a Scottish accent. And I was coaching a lady, I do a little bit of coaching. Mainly I do speaking, but I do coaching. But when we do that, we get to, like, what is your self-actualisation? What is your tap of the hill? And she was Australian, and then she starts calling it the tap of the hill. And I just start laughing, like, not with her, but afterwards going, I can't believe that people are referring to the tap of the hill as the top of Maslow's. But if you look, he was there. He had his girlfriend Kelly, had a great job. He was, like, living #best life. And then whoosh, the plane crashes. So he's right down at the bottom to, have I got the, you know, can I survive? Have I got air? Have I got water? Have I got shelter? And you know, the thing, like, in the world, there's a lot of people who never, ever, ever get out of those two bottom levels of Maslow's, the survival, you know, they don't get to thrive because
he found love and belonging, didn't he?
In Wilson. So there we go. You see, so what then happened was he then goes through the parcels and he finds Wilson. So again, the love and belonging that was it. He'd found his mate. He was quite happy. You know, he was quite happy on that island with Wilson.
Remember when Wilson floated off and he lost?
Wilson. That was his mate. And then, of course, he was the boss of Wilson because he used to be arguing with Wilson. So he's moved right up again. And then, so it comes back to me. This is why I find Castaway is like Maslow's, because why did he have to get off that island? Because he was actually quite happy. He was living his best life again. He had food, he had the fish, he had Wilson. Yeah. But his purpose, his reason was the last parcel. So that's what kept him going. That was his survival instinct, was to get that off. And he, you know, hit the reef, come back in, had that parcel. And, you know, he gets back there. Obviously, Kelly dumped him, was with somebody else. But his purpose then to get back into that self-actualization was to deliver that last parcel. Without that last parcel, it would have been a different film. And that's why I think it is like Maslow's.
Yeah, I love the analogy there. It's a really great mini story on delivering the last parcel being your why.
Yeah.
It was that was his why. What's yours? Know what you want, know why you want it, then we get to want it more, reach for the stars, go bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where, you know, I haven't got a statistic on this one and I haven't done a survey on it, but if you were to ask people, like, what is your purpose? Like, so coming back to today, this could be the greatest day of your life. I think a lot of people snooze because they just go, another day in hell at work. You know, they've not got a reason that they're going to work. They've not got a reason. They've not got that purpose to go for it.
To reach for the stars.
So I think that's where, you know, when your why is strong, you can't go wrong. And that's tied into your goals. And I mean, I do quite a lot of courses like this. If I'm speaking at an event and trying to get people to think about their goals. And I can remember doing, I'm a friend of Sarah Stark. She also did a part with the book. So she's the golf commentator on Sky. And it was a woman in leadership for Sky TV. And there was a lady called Diane there. And I'm going, right, come on girls, let's think about, you know, what is your goal? And, you know, what would you love to do? If you had this, you know, if you had a chance to do anything in life. And she said, I'd like to fly a plane. I went, yeah, go on, Diane, whoop, whoop. And then I went, well, why do you want to fly a plane? And she says, I don't really know. I think it might be quite good fun. I said, I hate to tell you this, Diane, but you're never going to fly a plane because you've not got a strong enough reason. You'll go through the first lesson and then the second lesson, you go, I'm not very good at flying a plane. You've got to have that strength to be able to hit that goal. And when it comes back to why you're doing it, and if you don't know why you're doing it, you're not going to do it. And I think that's where a lot of people really struggle to smash it and achieve those goals, because on the days when it gets tough, you never focus on what you're doing, only why you're doing it.
Yeah, look, the next part is best behaviour, and one of the sub points that you talk about in best behaviour is a driving force.
Yeah,
driving yourself forward. What are the driving forces?
So you probably have heard of Insights, the disc tool. So that's obviously the brand for like vacuum and Hoover. People know Insights. I use a tool called N-Size, which is a Swedish tool, and it comes with the behaviours, the colours, but also the driving forces. So again, economic. Some people, like, money's a big driver because it can give them those things. Yeah. Consideration, deep dive knowledge, and also, doing things for other people. So if you know what drives you, it's easy to focus on it. If people think it's just money, oh yeah, I want to have £1 million in the bank. And we all know that from a business perspective, it's a bit of a milestone, isn't it? I'd like £1 million business. But why do you want that? Because is that just through ego that you want that? Or what are you going to do with that money? And I think
economics, I get. So economics is a driving force. So, wanting more money. What does consideration mean?
Other people, helping other people.
All right. So that's other people. Deep knowledge is
like academia. People thrive for that. Self-fulfillment as well.
Self-fulfillment.
Yeah. So that's, again, like personal development, self-fulfillment.
Anything else?
Nope, I think that's the main driving forces. I mean, you've got things like the eco side of things, but that still comes back into
what about
that
where does like achievement fall in on all of that? And
that's prestige. So prestige is another thing. Right. So again, if you look at, like, from a work perspective, sometimes people want to be seen as a leader, like, oh, I'm the managing director or I'm the whatever director. So again,
would autonomy fall under that one as well then?
Yeah, I mean, I think self-fulfillment as well, that kicks into feeling good about yourself. Right. So sometimes people want to get to a certain level just to feel that self-fulfillment, that autonomy. And autonomy is one of the things I talk about a lot, because my main topic that I speak about in events is entrepreneurship. So now I'm working with some of the Fortune 500, it's to get the employees to think like it's their own business. Right. So again,
to own it.
Yeah, to own it. I mean, one of my I've got a favourite entrepreneur, and it's Tony Fadell. So I'd love to hear him on the podcast. So Tony Fadell was actually the creator of the iPod. Whereas Steve Jobs is the entrepreneur at Apple, the iPod was created by Tony Fadell and his team, and he put 1,000 songs in our pocket. The iPod then became...
So Tony Fadell created the iPod?
He did. He's got a book called Build. He is now he also created Nest.
Is he from the UK?
No, he's American.
Right.
But he's literally, he's like... if there's an MD I'd love to meet Tony Fadell.
Tony Fadell. Well, look, I mean... That's the me thing. Mm-hmm. Once you've mastered the me thing, you got to master the we thing.
Yeah.
And again, we've got a nice little blueprint in this book here. Teamwork makes dream work.
Yeah, it does.
Of course. That is so you, isn't it, to say that?
It is, yes.
And then we've got some specific skills here.
Yeah.
Stop, look, listen.
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
Reassure people. And then, a lot of these are sales skills, yeah?
Oh, you've just skipped to the end of the book, James.
No, I've not. It's the we thing is mastering sales. That's what it is, yeah?
Do you want me to tell you a secret, right? Promise you will not tell any of the listeners or anybody else, right?
I promise you. We're not going to tell anyone.
So, the first book that I wrote is called Secrets of Successful Sales, right? And that book went on Amazon #1 around the world, W.H. Smith top 10 business book, Independent voted it one of the top business books written by a woman in 2019. And I love sales, right? Genuinely, I come from 20 odd years in corporate sales. I could talk about sales till the cows come home, and then again and again and again. But most people don't like sales. right? You like sales. So Secrets of Successful Sales. You would read that book if you were an entrepreneur or in sales, right? You know, Jenny for the block is not going to pick that book up because she'll go, well, I'm not in sales. I don't want to read that book.
Yeah.
But the weirdest thing that happened with that book, people who were not entrepreneurial or not in sales were reading it and sending me messages going, oh, I'm getting on really well with my family now. I bought a house and I saved money. I've done
everything sales.
Everything we do in life is a sale, right? Everything. But then I felt a calling to write Smash It because the content in both the books is really similar, right? Literally. And what I do is at the end of Smash It, if you get to page whatever it is, 71,000 words, so maybe 70,500, I evidence that everything we do in life is a sale. So the process of the we thing, which we would use in sales on a daily basis to secure sales, and again, not dirty, sleazy sales, but actually having conversations, selling the benefits and really making a good relationship is exactly what the same as you do. It's not about, and I think where this fits in is specifically into leadership, because in the big organisations I'm working with now, they think they lead people by telling them what to do. And even now there's been a big shift. Oh no, there's no managers in our organisation. It's all leaders. But they're not leading because what they're doing is do this, do that, do the next thing. And even in a one-to-one conversation, now we know the ratio. If we were in a sales conversation, it'd be 80-20, Pareto principle, ask amazing open questions, get the other person to talk, get the needs.
Why is it so crucial to refine your skills in asking questions in life, not in sales, in life?
It's just the be all and end all, because like I talk about it in both the books, but if we look at children, right, you look at a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, when they start to talk, the fundamental question they ask is why. They weren't taught that. Their parents don't go ask why. They go who, what, why, where, when, how. Who, what, why, where, when, how. We become sponges as children and we learn so much. Then what happens is when we go to school at 4 or 5, we're in a ratio of 30 and all that amazing learning, knowledge, getting information is quashed. Can I? Will I? Would you like me to? And we get no knowledge. To actually be able to lead someone or to sell, it's not about talking, it's about just great listening. And to be a great listener, you've got to ask brilliant questions. Who, what, where, what, who? Now I'm getting all passionate, James. Remember I said I'm passionate. But that's the situation. But from age 4, people have had that like literally taken away from them. And when I'm doing my courses, one of the things is like I play the Guess Who game and I've got like a famous person. Shh, don't tell MD, usually Mickey Mouse. But it's like getting the audience to ask me open questions. And you should see how much they struggle to ask an open question. You know, when we look at getting a promotion, people think it's about, you know, pitching yourself. And yes, you have to, but it's like, what are you looking for? What skills are you looking for? How do you think I fit that? Why would I do that? What would that look like for you? How could we work that together? Who, what, why, where, when, how? And that, to me, is the bit that people just, unless you've been sales trained, you don't have those skills. To me, if you can upskill yourself in any way, how you ask great open questions will help you to get what you want.
Yeah. And we're not talking about in selling. It's in life.
In life. I mean,
Okay.
it's fascinating.
So
I'm getting all passionate now.
We question to listen, of course. Then you've got to refine your listening skills as well. Now, something else that you do talk about in the book is the power of reassurance.
Yeah.
Why is reassurance so powerful in developing a relationship with someone else?
So the fundamental in any relationship, if you look at like Patrick Lencioni's, it's trust and then it's positive conflict. So, you know, you look at those kind of things. Those are the fundamental for anything. So having good open conversations to build that trust, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship, without trust, you have no relationship. So how do you find out, you know, how to trust someone or what makes someone tick? It's asking those things. And, you know, we talk about it in business all the time, don't we? We talk about do you match our values? Do you match our mission statement and our vision statement? Well, in life, in the wee thing, that mission and vision is your goals. And if you're with somebody and your goals are aligned to their goals, you're on a winner. But if your values don't match their values and you don't trust them, your relationship is going to go nowhere. And I think, that's not to be a Debbie Downer on relationships, but to me, those are the fundamentals. When people say to me, well, how have you smashed it? Well, I've been with Mr. Edgar for 30 years. I come to London for 2 nights. He doesn't even text me or phone me. It's not that he doesn't love me, but he trusts me 100%, and I trust him 100%. And as soon as you've got that in any relationship, you need that. And that's why, again, getting to know somebody's trust and values and where they're going from. And you look at now, I don't know the statistic on this one, but the divorce rates are really high. And a lot of that comes from, are all those things aligned in your relationship?
Well, I quite like on the whole reassurance piece, but part of it is developing a depth of trust and in the way, being open enough to have conflict and challenge one another.
100%. I mean, and coming for the reassurance part, from a sales process per side of things, we would use that as test intention. That would be your test intention. So if I do this and you do that, do you think that's going to work? Yeah, that's definitely going to work. It's testing intention, whether this is a right relationship, again, from a sales perspective and a business perspective.
I quite like that phrase, though, testing intention there. Yeah. It means we're moving forward. We're aligned on intent.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the close, the dreaded close in life, because a lot of people do dread closing. Now, some people are kind of like natural closers that I've met, they kind of close conversations down and get the next thing in place. And I say some of that. If I'm making my own subjective opinion, probably most are not.
Well, I can tell you why that is, right? Because literally, again, I'm not doing as much training now because obviously I've evolved now to doing the speaking. But you know yourself, if you're running a course, the first thing you do is you set the goals for the course. What would you like to achieve? And honestly, James, see when somebody would write on their post-it note closing, I did a little mini fist bump dance because for a fact the reason that they can't close, they never opened. They never use great open questions, because if you look at the process, you're just asking great questions to get to the need. Then what you're doing is you're selling the benefits, then you're testing intention, and then it matches. So if I do this for you, you're going to do that for me. How do we move this forward? That's the thing. I love it. We're bringing it back to sales and business again, but it's the same in life, isn't it? And I talk about it in the book because those skills are transferable. So we use an example of a personal relationship. We talk about Helen and Nigel. So Helen wants to move in with Nigel. Nigel wasn't so keen. So it's trying to work out how they can move in together. Is this going to work? And then the other part is the Kenny Rogers, the gambler strategy as well, James. So you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. And again, that's the same in any business relationship, but it's the same in a personal relationship. So many people, they hang in too long, and they should have maybe run a wee bit earlier, but know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run.
Now, another part of the we scenario is, as well as the sales skills, as we've put it there, is teamwork. What is excellence when it comes down to teamwork?
So, in our content, right, Christian Horner really blew our content for us, because we used to talk about the Red Bull team, and obviously they were such a successful team. But when you've got one rogue in the team, we can't really talk about that. But we're now talking about the McLaren team, right? So if we look at how long does it take the McLaren team to change the tyres, what's the fastest pit stop? It's 1.8 seconds. Red Bull were 1.82, they're 1.8. But this is where this comes together as that high performance, because, you think about the McLaren team, you think about Lando Norris, you think about McLaren, you think about the guys in the pit changing the tyres, but it's not. It's not that. It's every single person in that team believing that they are a high performance team. The people that clean the toilets, the people that put the food on the table, the people that put the logos in. And, you look at the scenario with the guy at NASA. What do? Yeah, I put the guy in the moon. That's what a high performance team is. Every single person believing that mission statement and that vision statement and having those values and working together to achieve it. But what you see in organisations, people, they bring the consultant in, they come up with the mission statement, the vision statement. It's probably about 3 paragraphs long. People can't remember it. Actually, it's every single person knowing, and not just knowing the mission and the vision, but living and breathing it. That's what makes a high performance team.
Yeah, I like the little passionate outburst there, Alison.
I get, honestly, you should see me on a stage.
Well, let me summarise it. The key to real teamwork is everybody believing the mission and vision.
And I mean everybody. As soon as you've got somebody in there, you're back in to the Kenny Rogers scenario. Can you change that person's mindset? Is it know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run? And that's the same. It's the same in a personal relationship, but it's also the same as you scale your team. And we know, yourself firsthand from the work you do with businesses that, people don't always get their recruitment right first time. And I was doing some work with a recruitment consultant. You might need to beat me out slightly on this one. And she said, Alison, see, the thing with recruitment is this is the thing that you've always got to remember. And I said, what is that? And she says, you're better to have a hole than an a-hole. So, I think people recruit in haste,
it's good,
don't
isn't
they?
it?
It's a great line, literally. Beep, you might need to beep it out. But and I thought, that is such a strong line, because if you recruit in haste, you repent at leisure, and you might end up with the wrong people that are not really just living and breathing that mission and vision statement. And again, as soon as you get someone in there with that fixed mindset, we know how fast that spreads, because that's when they're starting to gossip, or they're starting to, diss whatever it is it's doing, or, oh yeah, that always happens. Those lines, that fixed mindset kicks in, and that's when it starts to go wrong, in my opinion.
If there was one action that you could encourage the listeners to take, having listened to this, what would it be?
At the end of everything, they think that it's not a particularly positive thought. So they might be thinking a negative thought through fear, because we know that it's the fear that drives it through.
5 fears.
And end up in this might have happened, this was really bad, but this happened and it was really good. And I think that's something that I've mastered, that no matter what happens, or like we lost a deal, or we did this, but you know what, we learned this, or but you know what, we did that. So training yourself to finish on but you know what, that was positive, and ending on that will keep you sort of sitting in that state of positivity, which will lead towards helping you smash it.
So let me summarise this then. Know what you want. Know why you want it.
Yeah.
Then develop your behaviours.
Yeah.
Then I need to just come back here for a second. Know what you want. Know why you want it.
Yeah.
Go bigger. Reach for the stars, folks.
Do you want me to sing it? Reach for the stars.
Thank you. Develop your behaviours. That's your me. Then master we. In order to master we, you've got to get into teamwork in a big way. And then develop the indispensable skills in life, which are sales skills. The classic questioning, listening, reassuring, closing.
Always be closing. Oh no, we don't use that one anymore. That is so 1984, isn't it?
It's all right. Yeah, Alison Edgar, you smashed it. What's been your favourite bit of this conversation?
The fact that I couldn't remember what the fears were.
Is that your worst bit or your favourite bit?
That was my favourite bit, because I know that my team are going to kick my backside for not remembering. Like, you talk about that every day. How could you not remember? That aside, actually just spending a bit of time with you. As you know, I've been a bit of a fangirl. I've been watching your podcast. I saw you at Biz Live. I'm in awe of the work you're doing, because I know a lot of people who have got, work for Action Coach, and I believe they're helping a lot of people, but they're still staying inside their comfort zone. I think what you're doing, James, is you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And we both know that just, it takes time, but it eventually pays off. So just literally fangirling over you.
Alison Edgar, thank you very much. Welcome to the BizX podcast, sharing with you all of the secrets and winning formulas in both business and life, with powerful lessons from guests like Frank Bruno, Nick Jenkins, Brad Sugars, Bianca Westwood, and many, many more. Yet, the sad reality is that over 80% of you aren't subscribed yet. And if that's you, hit the subscribe button now and help us grow this channel so that you can get 1% closer every single week to achieving your dreams in both business and life. Let's do this.